Okay, the first part of the test is to do a mock-up on the wall. The mock-up should cover all the different types of surfaces to be sealed. We check the water penetration of the existing surfaces by doing a simple Rylom tube test. This simulates wind-driven rain, and by pouring the water into the tube, we can measure the rate of water penetration into the block. This is important to set a baseline for when we come back next week to see if the building's been properly sealed.
It's not holding at all.
The first product we're going to be applying for the mock-up is Ash Grove Multi-Surface Sealer, which is a water-based sealer that can go on a variety of substrates. The first part in application is to mist the surface with the product, just dampening the surface. This is a very important step. What this does, it breaks the surface tension of the block or brick so that we get better penetration of the following coat. Once the area has been dampened, we'll start the application from the bottom up. With the multi-surface sealer, we're applying to saturate the surface. It does not require any rundowns, unlike other traditional sealers. So the first, always work from the bottom up and saturate the surface from the bottom up. When the product begins to run down, simply move on. A low pressure sprayer like a garden sprayer is advisable. If you do use an airless sprayer, make sure that the pressure is below 500 psi and use the largest possible tip available. Different surfaces will take different coverage rates. This full brick up top here is much denser and will actually use less material. To determine the proper application rate, we're doing a mock-up where we're doing one coat and two coats. So now John will put a second coat on the right-hand side, again working from the bottom up. Some porous blocks will take two coats rather than just one coat, and it's important to determine at this point. We'll come back next week and check the Rylom tube readings on both the left and the right and determine what the amount of proper square footage would be to seal up this building. Okay, our second mock-up is going to be Hydrozol 40 Clear Silane, which is a 53% solid silane in a isopropyl alcohol base. It has the advantage of cool weather applications, deep penetrations. The 53% solids makes this an excellent sealer for multiple surfaces. So again, we're going to run through the same steps. We're going to mist down the surface to break the surface tension. With Hydrozol 40 Clear, you do want to keep it off the grass a little bit. It won't kill the grass, but it'll brown the grass or any of your vegetation. It's a clear silane, so you do not have to mask off window and trim, which is a nice feature. Okay, the surface is fully saturated, so with Hydrozol 40, application is you flood the material on the surface with a low pressure sprayer until we get 4 to 6 inch rundowns of the material. This will allow for proper penetration of the silane. Again, application is with a low pressure sprayer, like a Hudson sprayer we're using. If an airless sprayer is used, again, the pressure needs to be below 500 psi. Other things that can be used are commercial weed sprayers, work very well with large tips. Flood the material on, working from the bottom up until you see the 4 to 6 inch rundowns running down the face of the block. This product will dry very quickly. It can go on cold days. We've applied it down to about 10 degrees. However, when it is applied in cold weather, the reaction will be slowed and it may look kind of blotchy for a few days while it's reacting out with the substrate. It chemically reacts with the mortar, block, and brick, and full cure will take about a week. So again, here we're trying to determine our proper application rate. So we put one coat. Now on the right side we'll put a second coat in case this block happens to be extremely porous or they used a really large aggregate. This will ensure that the applicator will get the right amount of material on the building to seal up that block for 7 to 10 years. You do not want to apply this material if it's either of the materials, if it's going to rain within 4 hours of application. It needs to be completely dry before it gets rained on. We'll see you next week when we come back and do the water test. Okay, we're back at the mock-up wall, and we're doing the Zycosil, the area where we put the Zycosil over the various CMU surfaces. We did this about a week ago, and we've given it a week for the material to react out. So we placed the rylum tube over the different surfaces that were sealed, and in this case we filled the tube all the way up, which simulates a 90-mile-an-hour wind-driven rain, and so we check the one coat area first, and then if that passes, then there's no need to check the two coat area. So it has passed the one coat area, and so we will not test the second coat area. So that means in this case that the applicator will apply the Zycosil on at approximately 100 square feet to 120 square feet per gallon, depending on the two types of surfaces. Okay, now we're on the we're checking the Hydrozo 40 Clear by BASF, and we're on the one coat panel that we did last week. We've given it a week to react out, and we've placed the tube over all three of our different types of CMU, the mortar, and we filled the tube all the way up. Normally to do a 55-mile-an-hour wind-driven rain, you fill it halfway up. We're trying to see if it'll withstand 98-mile-an-hour wind-driven rain here, and it does. So again, there'd be no reason to do the two coats, so it'd be one flood coat on at about 80 square feet, 60 to 80 square feet per gallon on the Hydrozo 40 on this substrate.